So, guys, I finally got round to seeing Creed 2. It's been quite a long time in the waiting of me making these series of reviews, and I'm happy to say that I've finally reached the end and I can now review the last movie in the Rocky saga. So, that being said, I want to give you my thoughts on Creed 2. So, Creed 2 stars Michael B. Jordan, it stars Sylvester Stallone and Tessa Thompson, all returning from the first film. There's a couple of other actors, I think, coming in from the first one as well. We also have Dolph Lundgren reprising his role as Ivan Drago in this movie. Right, Creed 2. I initially thought this was quite a good film. The first half of it, at least, I was quite happy with how it was going. Um, I quite liked what they did with the characters, and particularly Adonis Creed, or Adonis Johnson, whatever his name. Well, you know what he goes by several names. I think most of the time they just call him Donnie. But yeah, basically at the start of this movie, he's had three successful defeats, and he wins the world title and becomes the champion at the beginning of this film. And everything's going great with him. His relationship with Bianca is still strong, and it's still going really well, and they continue that whole arc that they created from the first movie, the first Creed movie. Rocky Balboa has a smaller role in this film. He's not in it as much as he was in the first Creed film, but his presence is still felt throughout most of the film. It's still very much a film set in the Rocky universe as such. They continue all the story. He's still got his restaurant. He still sits by Adrian and Paulie's graves and talks to them. So yeah, that is continued. That whole little thing. But interspersed with all this, we get scenes from Russia where a much older Ivan Drago is training his son to become a world heavyweight champion. And I must admit, the thing I was looking forward to the most about this movie was actually Dolph Lundgren. I was very interested to see what they were going to do with this character that made an appearance all the way back to Rocky 4. And I was happy at first with what they were doing, but to be honest, as the movie progressed, I was a bit disappointed. I felt as if they just turned him into this. It is a very typical. He has this son who's a really like strong boxer, and basically he's basically comes across as this really dominating, nasty dad who just all he wants is his son to win. And I was a bit disappointed with that. I felt the writers just made him a bit one dimensional. I really liked the first scene in which Rocky made he basically Rocky walks into his restaurant, and he just sees Ivan sitting at a table, and all you can see is the back of his head. And I was very I was pumped for how they were gonna make this scene, and it is a very good scene when these two finally come face to face after all these years. The actors are brilliant. Because Dolph Lundgren didn't have much dialogue in Rocky 4, I was interested to see how they were gonna portray him in this film. And to be honest, he doesn't speak a lot in this film either. When he does, it's mostly in Russian. But yeah, he doesn't really talk a lot in this movie. So yeah, I suppose that's what you can expect. Really, the character is Russian, and he's, you know, it kind of adds to his like sort of stony faced persona, if you will. Bridget Nielsen makes an appearance in this film, which was quite random. I won't spoil it, but she does something at the end that is really heartless, and especially towards her son, and you really feel for Victor Drago, the son, in this film. You feel as if he's being pushed into what he's doing, and the way he is forced to fight Creed, Donnie, and the relationship he has with his father. You just feel sorry for him. For the movie itself, it follows a very typical Rocky formula, something that you'd expect, and it works. It's a good film, but it does get a bit tiresome because the first Creed movie borrowed heavily from the previous 6 Rocky films. So, and in this movie they kind of do it again, and like, but with Donnie Creed rather than Rocky. There's some good scenes between Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. A lot of heartfelt sort of little talks. Donnie goes through a similar arc to what Rocky did in between Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, and like Bianca gets pregnant, and all sorts of things happen. They worry about the baby, and Donnie he wins the first fight with Victor Drago by disqualification, but he's beaten to a bloody pulp, and his confidence is just destroyed. And there's a lot of scenes that kind of really dramatically emphasize how much pain he's in, which is good. You know, there's a scene where he's swimming in a swimming pool, and he literally just sinks himself right down to the bottom of the deep end, and just you see him just screaming. And I just thought that was quite a good artistic way to show someone's pain. Probably not the most original thing to do, but it was pretty cool. The fight scenes are pretty good. There's not really a lot of boxing in this film. As with most of the Rocky films, there's not really a lot of boxing. It's mostly just story, and but like the boxing can sort of be a metaphor for anything, really. The final fight is very good. I won't spoil anything. The training scenes are very good. I like what they did with the training scenes. I like what they did with Rocky's character. My biggest criticism of this film is that there's one too many father-son things, like father-son relationship sort of thing. It's very there's like you've got Ivan and his son. You've got the relationship between Donnie and his late father Apollo. You've got Rocky there's a subplot with Rocky and Rocky's son. Rocky finds out he has a grandson, and there's just one too many, like, it just gets a bit much, you know. There's too many fathers and son relationships in this movie. That's my biggest criticism of the film. I felt they just overdid that whole thing a bit. I get the moral of it, or the you know, the meaning behind all of it with regards to this film, but I just felt as if it was overdone a little bit. I'm going to give this film 3.5 stars out of 5. I still enjoyed this film. It's not as good as the first Creed movie. It's better than some of the other Rocky films, and it is a good extension of the Rocky universe. I'm very interested to see if this series continues. Stallone has said he's not going to play the character anymore, but who knows? Maybe they'll continue with Creed, maybe not. Thank you very much for going through this series with me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the videos. I will see you again very soon with my next review. Thank you.